When did you first start to feel, hey, some of this trans stuff is not actually as liberal and progressive as it's being shown to be?
I think gradually. Oh, yeah, it's a good question. I think gradually over the last sort of 18 months, which is why when I read this story in the Telegraph about LGBT Youth Scotland, I read it with a jaundiced eye, and it was written with a jaundiced eye. I mean, the Telegraph, is pretty sort of, it's not likely to uphold the kind of trans charities, but it was a very critical piece. But I was sufficiently concerned to immediately see whether we funded it or not, immediately. So I think that was this time last year. So I think for about the last sort of 12 months, I'd been kind of feeling anxious about it, because the trouble is that because the trans community has protested so much about being valid, that nobody dare criticise it, which means that under its shelter can go people who do not have good feelings. Yeah. They do not have good intentions. And they can hide in plain sight, because no one dares say, well, actually, what are you doing? Because it's like, oh, you're anti-trans, oh, you're tough,
I think that's the point we want to make as well about like the toilet situation, the bathroom situation, because it's often said by that side, so to speak, so you're assuming that all trans people are a problem and that all... Yeah, and it's, well, no, of course not. Just as, but all men are not. But some men,
but quite a lot are.
Those are men, unfortunately. Yeah,
they are men.
What is it? It's probably 1% of men or something. But over a country of 50 million people, you don't want room.
And also, it's not necessarily about the men. It's also about the women. I mean, you probably don't know this, Andrew, but I have taken all my clothes off and changed my entire outfit several times in women's loo. And I suspect every single woman listening to this podcast will have done the same, because you're in a place, women's outfits, women's clothes are not like, they don't go from day to night in a seamless way like men's do.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've taken all my clothes off in the back of a cab and changed everything, So if you're taking all your clothes off in the loo, you don't really want some bloke, even though he may also be in a dress, prowling around in the loos. You just don't.
Yeah, I think that, the reason I asked that is because I'm just interested in the psychology of it. Like all of us at first, when we first, even if, I don't know when you first heard about trans, it was like, it seems all right.
Yeah.
And all of us had a moment where we went, oh,
yeah,
hang on, this isn't right.
Yeah.
So,
and also it was a sort of, I honestly think we'll look back, maybe in 10 years' time and think, what was this madness that we were encouraging young people to alter their hormones, to block the puberty, to be sterile? I mean, it's a terrible fate.
It is.
And
it is.
The sort of decisions you make when you're 14 bear no relation to your mind when you're 24.
Can you imagine?
I know.
I pierced my ear. I was 13. And annoyingly, because usually it closes up and mine never did. So you can still see a hole in the ear, which gives off an impression that me as a 36-year-old man it is not a real problem, but that's not who I am. Luckily, it's a tiny little dot in my ear.
Yeah.
That I did to annoy my parents.
Yeah, of course. No one's going to notice it. But imagine if you had a tattoo on your face or something.
There was a thing going around. There was a survey of people who said that these were progressives, and would you let your kid get a tattoo? No. Would you let them go on puberty blockers or change it? Yes. It was bonkers. I remember I called my mum and said, would you ever allow me or mind if I got a pierced ear? And I'd already done it. And she went, you are not doing that. Absolutely no way. And I was sitting there with this pierced ear, looking at myself in the mirror going, shit, I can't go home. But I think there was some sort of arrangement with my parents as to, if I went to the grandparents, that had to be out.
Yeah.
So mad to think of that. That was only 23 years ago. And the grandparents can't see the pierced ear. Whereas nowadays, kids, well, I sound like I'm getting older or whatever it is,
91% watching Heretics clips are not subscribed. Quick favour,
hit subscribe. Free, takes 2 seconds, and helps us question everything together.